Silly Man, aka Mr. Take It Easy for you end up like busy. But make sure I follow my Instagram and Twitch in the description down below. Everything you need to know about your boy Jay is in the description down below. And you are right, my brother. You are right. You are definitely right. Draft day is most definitely on the way. Hey Siri, when is the NFL draft?
The 2025 NFL Draft starts at 8 p.m. on Thursday, April 24th, and ends Saturday, April 26th.
April 24th! April 24th is when the NFL Draft starts, and I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the most highly anticipated draft class, bro, I've ever, like witnessed. Honestly, this draft class is so stacked, bro, honestly, bro. You know, this is the most stacked draft class, in my opinion, ever. You know what I'm saying? Ever. You know what I mean? So, honestly, for me, when it comes to my team, I feel like either we're going to trade up, you know what I mean? Trade Kayvon Thibodeaux, trade up for Kayvon Thibodeaux, and get Abdul Carter at 3. Or we're going to get Travis Hunter. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, you know what I'm saying? But we definitely, for me, either Abdul Carter, because Abdul Carter, bro, is a freaking monster. I'm not going to lie. Man is a dog. So I'll say either Abdul Carter, you feel me, or Travis Hunter. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? I don't think we will get Abdul Carter because we still got Kayvon Thibodeaux and Brian Burns on the edge, bro. So we're going to see. If we get Abdul Carter, we're definitely trading up for another pick, and we're going to trade Kayvon Thibodeaux. You know what I mean? Honestly. But I feel like we're going to get Travis Hunter, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But we got the darkest scandal in NFL history. Paid to kill. This nigga was paying niggas to kill niggas. You know what I mean? I never heard of this one, though. But if y'all want to go see all my NFL reactions, it is in the playlist section over yonder.
On January 14, 2012, the 13-3 New Orleans Saints faced off against the Jim Harbaugh-led San Francisco
49ers. What happened to y'all, bro? What happened to y'all, man, 49ers, man? Downfall of the 49ers began. Y'all gave up Travarius Ward, you know, Hufanga, you know, Deebo Samuel. Jesus Christ, man. Y'all just gave up Jordy Mason. Y'all, dude, what the freak is going on? You know what I'm saying? It's been a Greenlaw. You feel me? Bro, that junk is crazy. 49ers definitely went downhill for sure. CMC keep battling with injuries. You know what I'm saying? CMC, Brock Purdy finna get a major contract, but got Brandon Jennings and Brandon Ayuk.
Divisional round. The New Orleans Saints, coming off a shaky win against the Detroit Lions, overcoming a 4-point deficit at the half and winning their final 8 games of the regular season, they were determined to keep their forward momentum. And going head-to-head against the 49ers, a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in 9 years, led by the likes of Patrick Willis and Dante Whitner, this would no doubt be a gritty, hard-hitting battle of attrition. But a bomb was ticking. A dark secret that would soon come to light. Saints defensive coordinator Greg Williams held a team meeting.
Did y'all know about this?
The playoff game against the San
Francisco. Bro, hey, bro, you all, hey, my man. Y'all already, if you joined the stream late, bro, I already reacted to the Nuggets, bro. You know what I mean? Honestly. So it's like you join the stream, you know what I mean? You know, you join the freaking stream late, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And whatever your name is, Joe, you know what the freak I meant, bro. Brandon Jennings, Juwan Jennings, don't correct me again. You know what the freak I meant.
Coordinator Greg Williams.
Correct me again, you're freaking banned.
A night before the playoff
I don't need you to tell me who the freak his name is. I know the freak his name is. I ain't mean Brandon Jennings, I meant Juwan Jennings, bro. You know what I mean? Know the nigga name.
49ers, and gave an impassioned speech to his defensive players. A speech filmmaker, Sean Pantholin, managed to record in its entirety, a recording that contained the Saints' grim secret. Instructing his players to injure quarterback Alex Smith, running back Frank Gore, tight end Vernon Davis, Michael Crabtree, Kyle Williams, and running back Kendall Hunter. If completed, a large payday awaits. A team of bounty hunters who would go on to target some of the biggest names in football and become the subject of one of the largest scandals in NFL history.
Did y'all know about this? Did y'all know about this?
On January 15, 2009, the New Orleans Saints hired defensive coordinator Gregg Williams to help revive their lackluster defense, which ranked 23rd in the league. Sean Payton vehemently believed Williams was the missing piece that would surely bring them the Lombardi Trophy, a redemption year for New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina. Sean Payton was so impressed with Gregg Williams that Payton voluntarily took a $250,000 pay cut just to sign him. As an offensive coach, I have game planned against his defenses in the past, and I know the problems they create. He's an aggressive coach, but his units are always sound fundamentally. We have some pieces in place for him to work with, and I know he's excited to get started. Williams, previously with the Washington Redskins from the 2004 to 2007 season, his aggressive blitz-heavy defense consistently ranked within the top 10 in the NFL. He was also the head coach for the Buffalo Bills for 3 seasons from 2001 to 2003.
Yeah, some people just not meant to be head coaches, bro. I'm gonna keep it real with you, bro. Some people just, that's what a lot of coaches, you know, a lot of coaches need to understand. Some of y'all not meant to be head coaches. Some of y'all are just meant to be offensive coordinators. Some of y'all are meant to be defensive coordinators. Just because you're a good offensive coordinator, just because you're a good defensive coordinator, don't mean you're going to make a good head coach. You know what I mean? Because everything follows, you know, through you. You know, when you the head coach, bro, you know, everything flows through you, bro. You know what I'm saying? The hiring, the firing, you know, like everything flows through you, bro.
The defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans from 1997 to 2000. Nicknamed the conductor of aggression, Williams' blitz-heavy schemes and hard-hitting no-mercy defense struck fear into opposing offenses. Williams was systematic and willing to give up any and everything to gain an edge on the field, specializing in taking players that may not have been the most athletic or talented and turn them into vicious and relentless defensive playmakers. Unfortunately, Williams' intense desire to win and gain an edge on the field often blurred the lines of morality, and questions began to arise at the start of the New Orleans Saints playoff run in the NFC divisional round against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, led by the 38-year-old quarterback Kurt Warner. Warner had nearly 4,000 passing yards and 26 passing touchdowns on the season. Gregg Williams was always searching for a team's Achilles heel, and in this case, Kurt Warner's age was that heel. With the Saints having the likes of Jonathan Vilma, Roman Harper, and Darren Sharper, easily 3 of the hardest hitters in the league, Williams wanted to see just how much more life Warner had in him, and he would soon find out. In a team meeting the night before the game, Williams stated, "Warner should have been retired. We're going to end the career tomorrow of Kurt Warner." Warner was hit all night. Each shot was more vicious and violent than the last.
Dang.
In Warner's 12th season in the NFL, this may have been his most punishing game yet. The play that would cause some raised eyebrows and accusations of sinister intent occurred with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Kurt Warner, under pressure, forces the ball into coverage and is intercepted by defensive end Will Smith. And as Smith returned the ball, defensive end Bobby McRae saw an opportunity and decided to take full advantage of it, delivering one of the most vicious hits of Warner's 12-year career, sending Warner several feet into the air. You see the disorientated Warner lying on the field as his horrified wife watches from the stands. Darren Sharper would say that was the game-changing play the defense was looking for. Warner was briefly sent to the locker room and returned later.
Imagine, bro, you getting hit like that, bro. You 38 years old, boy. You know what I mean? That right there, but nigga, 38 years old getting hit like that, blindsided, boy. I mean, I got blindsided before by my teammate Rod, bro. You know what I'm saying? When I was playing Langston Hughes, it was a big old offensive coordinator, bro. Not coordinator, but offensive lineman, bro. I'm running. I feel like blindside was always just goofy to me, bro. And I feel like bro tried to do that junk on purpose. I got up. My nigga Coach Arnold was telling me, Jay, don't hurt nobody in practice, because that nigga knew what the freak was up. I'm like, oh, these niggas trying to hurt a nigga? Like, I'm finna punish one of you niggas. I already hurt old boy Justin. Hey, I'm sorry, Justin. You know what I'm saying? But nigga, I try to straight punish at practice. You know what I'm saying? I ended that nigga career. I ended that nigga season at practice. Nigga, I try to go full blown. So when that nigga did that, I ain't gonna lie, I got angry. So I ain't gonna lie, I seen red. I was gonna straight punish, and Coach Arnold knew what the freak it was. That nigga blindsided me in front of my girl, too. Nigga hit me in front of my girl. I want you looking at that nigga just hit me in front of my girl. I got up fast as heck. I'm like, I'm finna like this fat nigga out.
After that game, This would be the last game of Warner's career, with many theorizing that McRae's hit may have been the reason for it. Warner, realizing he could no longer take hits like that, may have been one of the prime reasons for his departure. The Saints defense dominated, winning the game 45-14. Concerns began to circulate around the league about Gregg Williams' dark intentions during the game, but again at this point, it was all speculation. But soon, this speculation would become justified when the New Orleans Saints faced off against the Minnesota Vikings and the NFC Championship.
It's like on some Cobra Kai junk in football, though. Like on some Cobra Kai junk, no mercy.
When the New Orleans Saints faced off against the Minnesota Vikings and the NFC
Niggas are Cobra Kai's of football.
Williams facing another future Hall of Famer nearing the end of his career. This was another prime opportunity to showcase his aggressive defense to the world and test the 40-year-old Favre's Iron Man reputation. In a team meeting the night before the game, that old man should have retired when I was there. Is he retiring? That whole thing is over. You know, tomorrow. We'll end the career tomorrow. We'll force him to retire. Favre threw for 4,200 yards and had 33 passing touchdowns that season.
This nigga tripping.
No signs of slowing down. Little did he know that he was the next target in one of the largest scandals in NFL history. Before the game, Jonathan Vilma, Pro Bowl middle linebacker for the New Orleans Saints, offered $10,000 to anyone that knocks Brett Favre out of the game. The adage, money motivates, was on full display. This would be one of the most punishing games of Brett Favre's life. Similar in many ways to Kurt Warner's experience in the divisional round. Williams blitzed what seemed like every other play, and even on run plays, Favre somehow ended up on the ground wincing in pain. With 4 minutes 27 seconds remaining in the first quarter, after handing off the ball on an end around to Percy Harvin, the Saints defensive end lowers his shoulder and lays Favre out. That defensive end was none other than Bobby McRae, the same player who delivered the blindside block on Kurt Warner. McRae would soon earn the nickname Quarterback Killer. This was by far one of the worst beatings a quarterback has ever taken, and it wasn't over. With roughly 2 minutes left in the second quarter,
I gotta understand y'all how big them niggas is too, y'all. Like this is a grown man hitting you like this. Ain't no little pee-wee football. Y'all gotta understand these niggas like 270 pure muscle, like running through a truck. You know what I'm saying? So
under pressure, forces the ball into coverage, where it is intercepted by Jonathan Vilma. But as Favre lets go of the ball, you see Bobby McRae once again dive at Favre's ankles as Remy Yodelay tackles him down. McRae would be fined $20,000 for his illegal hits during the game. The Saints won the game 31-28 in overtime. The storyline portrayed to the public was the New Orleans Saints fighting back from the effects of Hurricane Katrina to make it to their first Super Bowl. But the real storyline was much, much darker. In 2 consecutive weeks, the Saints had taken blatant cheap shots on the opposing team's quarterback, shots that were no doubt intended to injure. But this storyline wouldn't hit the media for another 2 years. The Saints went on to win the Super Bowl, winning 31-17 against the Indianapolis Colts, bringing the first Lombardi Trophy to New Orleans. But the suspicions regarding Gregg Williams and his defense would not fade away, and in the 2009 postseason, an anonymous source contacted the NFL regarding this bounty program. But just how did this bounty program work? Let me give you the rundown. It would start with a large pool of money collected from players and coaches, and each week before games, bounties would be announced. The bounty system paid $1,500 for knocking players out of a game, and $1,000 for card-offs when a player is helped off the field, $400 for hard hits, which they called whacks, and a $100 deduction for mental errors. Everything was systematically tracked. If the bounties were not collected, they would be put into next week's pool. So instead of $1,500 for knocking out a player, it would be $3,000 payout. According to an anonymous former Redskin player, Williams also paid premiums for kill shots, in which you knock the opposing team's star player out of the game. And this was just for the regular season. In the postseason, the payouts doubled and sometimes even tripled.
Yeah.
The NFL's investigation into these allegations stalled until late 2011. The NFL interviewed players and coaches, all denying the existence of any bounty system, and the whistleblower later retracted their allegations. While it's safe to assume during Williams' tenure with the New Orleans Saints that bounties were placed before every game, we will be only covering the incidents that are confirmed or almost guaranteed a bounty was placed. The next notable confirmed bounty takes us to the 2010 wildcard game between the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. Although a bounty was placed on Hasselbeck for an undisclosed amount, the offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks did a great job protecting him for most of the night, absorbing only a handful of hits, with the only notable play being when Scott Channel shouldered Hasselbeck after the play, sending him to the turf. So this bounty was a failure. The next notable bounty entry was on Aaron Rodgers in Week 1 of the 2011 season. The bounty was said to be worth $5,000.
They putting bounties on niggas' heads in football.
Jonathan Casillas on a blitz, slamming Rodgers to the ground like a ragdoll. Casillas had 2 of the most violent hits on Rodgers for the night, but failed to do any real damage. As for Donald Driver, that's a different story. Coming across the middle, he gets laid out by Malcolm Jenkins. While Driver did stay in the game, Malcolm Jenkins made a quick $400 for the hit. Next on the list is Jay Cutler, quarterback from the Chicago Bears. This one is a bit different as it is based on accusations from Chicago Bears players rather than hard evidence. But there was no reason why Gregg Williams would exclude Jay Cutler from the bounties, and the amount of hits Jay Cutler took this game makes you understand where the accusations and bounties are coming from. Cutler was sacked 6 times and hit countless other times. There was also a claim that a Saints player kicked Cutler in the throat, causing him to lose his voice.
Dang.
While initially having trouble finding when and if this occurred, I eventually found the play in question. With 14 minutes left in the third quarter, you see Jay Cutler walking and touching his throat as he looks over at the sideline. Upon closer examination, you see when Cutler is tackled. He falls on the back of one of the defensive lineman's cleats, immediately grabbing his throat. While more than likely a bounty was enacted on Cutler, there's no way to say whether this was intentional or unintentional. You do see the lineman move his legs as he hits the ground to line up where Cutler is falling. Let me know what you think in the comments below. However, a bounty was collected, with Roman Harper knocking Earl Bennett out of the game with a vicious hit to the chest. With this game, I would say a couple of thousand were collected, and with the Saints winning handedly 30-13, in large part to their defense's aggressive play. The next notable entry was against Cam Newton in the 2011 season. While the NFL could only confirm a bounty on Newton.
I ain't gonna lie, I was so obsessed with Cam swag though when I was little, boy. That boy Cam was the drippiest quarterback, bro, I've ever seen, bro. Cam swag was unmatched, bro. When I was little, bro, I obsessed over that nigga freaking swag, bro.
17.
2 back plates, bro, and then the freaking arm. That nigga was swagged out in the football
It's
field.
safe to assume a bounty was placed when they faced him in Week 5, so I'll include both here. Ironically,
I say Cam like one of the greatest, bro.
For Newton, taking more than his fair share of hard hits.
One of the greatest
Some
to do
could
it,
have resulted in
Cam Newton era was crazy.
A great example occurred with 7 minutes and 28 seconds left.
Cam was crazy. I got Lee putting straight switch to booty.
Resulted in severe injury. A great example occurred with 7 minutes and 28 seconds left in the third quarter. Williams sends an all-out blitz, sandwiching Cam Newton between 2 hulking defenders, with one hitting higher than the other, making his back contort awkwardly as he hits the turf. A roughing the passer penalty was immediately called. Jonathan Vilma also tested the validity of Cam's Superman reputation, nailing him on a QB scramble as his helmet nearly flies off his head. Vilma also got a free shot on an all-out blitz, slamming the 6'5" Cam Newton like nothing. But Gregg Williams' time was running out, as more and more information from anonymous sources began to reach NFL officials. The NFL investigation resumed, and damning evidence would soon be uncovered. According to quarterback Josh Freeman, former QB for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coaches always warn their players to protect their knees when playing against the Saints, especially near the sideline. Unfortunately, even with this knowledge, in the 2010 season, Josh Freeman received a cheap shot by safety Malcolm Jenkins directly to his knee as he was going out of bounds. Fortunately, Freeman was not hurt. This shows that while the NFL was unaware of what was going on, it was seemingly common knowledge among NFL teams that's just how the Saints played defense. Many players claim bounties have always been a part of football. There's no better example of this than the famed Bounty Bowl. The Bounty Bowl was a game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys in 1989. But what would make this game so unique is the alleged bounties placed on Cowboys kicker Luis Zendejas and quarterback Troy Aikman. The $500 bounty on Aikman's head yielded quick results, as Aikman was constantly under fire, causing him to force in passes into tight coverage and taking sacks. There was nothing Aikman could do. The accusations of bounties being at play began after a play was called dead due to an encroachment penalty by the defense, but they didn't listen and slammed Aikman to the ground. Immediately, Aikman's offensive line rushed to his defense and a scuffle ensued. Aikman took a beating and was benched in the fourth quarter with only 54 passing yards and 3 interceptions.
Dang.
The most notorious
getting benched in the Super Bowl, that got hurt. Imagine getting benched in the Super Bowl. That was crazy.
Play in the game involves kicker Luis Zendejas, who allegedly had a $200 bounty on his head. At the start of the season, Zendejas was the kicker for the Eagles, but was released after a series of missed kicks with the team. On the opening kickoff of the second half, Zendejas kicked off the ball. We then cut to him staggering and going to the wrong sideline. It's clear Zendejas has a severe concussion, is disorientated, and in excruciating pain. Zendejas received a massive cheap shot, which would cause coach Jimmy Johnson to accuse the Eagles of setting bounties on Troy Aikman and Luis Zendejas. It's true, bounties have been a part of the game for quite some time, and there are probably countless games where bounties have been set that we have no idea about. But what makes the Saints bounty scandal so unique? One league official put it brilliantly, stating, "The Saints took a ragtag concept and turned it into a car assembly line. They made it efficient and vicious, with bounty tentacles reaching the head coach and general manager. Methodical and calculated are words you see littered in every article regarding the Saints bounty scandal. Commission for hyperaggression." Greg Williams' ingenious scheme would soon come to light, and the Saints world would come crashing down. Williams' final game takes us back to the 2000.
Bro, I didn't even know about this, bro.
NFC divisional between the New Orleans
bounties and all
Saints
that. But like I said, though, you know what I'm saying? If you want punishing, you want a good defense, it seems like a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Seems like a good idea if I want my team to punish, if I want my team to play hard, it seems like a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, because when it comes to the opposing team, I don't want them to kill. Now, paid to kill, we don't want to do that. But pay to freaking punish, we can do that for sure. Pay to punish.
Francisco 49ers. Prior to the game, filmmaker Sean Pamphilin, director of ESPN 30 for 30.
If they get injured, oh, so be it.
Run and the United States of Football managed to record Williams' entire meeting to his defensive players, containing some of the most graphic audio ever recorded in NFL history.
I'll kill the head, the body will die.
In this audio,
yeah, I'm not talking about killing now. I don't want to kill nobody. We could pay to punish, but nigga talking about kill the head, the body will die.
Audio ever recorded in NFL history.
I'll kill the head, the body will die.
In this audio, Williams announced bounties on running back Frank Gore, stating,
"Thing in the world to make sure we kill Frank Gore's head. We want him running sideways. We want his head sideways."
Oh,
a bounty on Kendall Hunter, which he refers to as Little 32, stating,
"Little 32, I want to knock the fuck out of him. He has no idea what he's in for. When he's on the sideline, we got to turn that motherfucker over. Go get that motherfucker on the sideline."
Williams' reference to the sideline is the same thing Buccaneers coaches warn their players about. It is shown with the cheap shot to quarterback Josh Freeman's knee. This audio proves it was advocated. A bounty on wide receiver.
The nigga say we want that nigga head turning sideways. We want him running sideways. You know, we want his head sideways. We want to kill his head.
Stating,
"We hit fucking Smith right there. Remember me."
Remember me is what Williams called hits so hard that the player never forgets them.
"I got the first one. I got the first one."
The first indication of monetary gain through these actions is shown here, which I thought strange since Kyle Williams wasn't much of a playmaker, but shows that no one was exempt from being targeted. A bounty is then announced on wide receiver Michael Crabtree.
"When you decide whether Crabtree wants to be a fake-ass prima donna or he wants to be a tough guy, you need to find that out. He becomes human. You fucking take out that outside ACL."
A common theme you see with Greg Williams' bounty system is not just hitting players hard,
that nigga said outside ACL,
but they are calculated. Players with injury history are targeted. Players with concussions are headhunted. Players with knee problems are hit low. A bounty on tight end Vernon Davis.
We need to decide how many times we can bull rush and we can fucking put Vernon Davis's ankles over the pile.
A bounty on a quarterback Alex Smith.
Alex Smith in the preseason game, when you guys fucking avalanched that motherfucker, had eyes that big.
Williams then states, "Never apologize for the way we compete."
Yeah, these niggas are Cobra Kai's, man. Cobra Kai's of the, you know what I'm saying, the NFL for sure. I knew nothing about this. I ain't gonna lie, I knew nothing about this. This is blasphemy. You know what I'm saying? I knew nothing about this. You know what I mean? But obviously for me, you know, like I said, I want my team to freaking punish. You know what I mean? I want my team to punish for sure. You know what I mean? But paid to kill, trying to injure people on purpose. You know, you can kill somebody like that, bro. Like, you know, when somebody got concussion problems, bro, you hit them in the head, nigga can die, bro. You know what I'm saying? You end somebody's career like that. So we you know, you ain't got to play the wrong way. And then that's the crazy thing about it. You're playing the wrong way, right? You're doing all that dirty-ish, and nigga, you still losing?
Kendall Hunter.
Ain't like you was winning doing this. You was losing.
Williams, Michael Crabtree, Alex Smith, and Vernon Davis were on the Saints hit list, and Williams would do anything in his power to make sure they never step on the field again. With Williams' bounties in place, the Saints were ready to compete, but the Saints were facing an equally hard-hitting defense, and they would soon make their presence known. When Pierre Thomas caught a dump-off ball and was knocked out cold by Dante Whitner, one of our generation's hardest hitters, and fumbled the ball. Pierre Thomas did not return. The Niners had struck first and put Williams on his heels. This would be an all-out slug match. Williams responded with a vicious hit to quarterback Alex Smith by Roman Harper. The Saints defense had taken the speech to heart. When Kyle Williams is falling to the ground, you see Jonathan Vilma fly in, aiming for his head, but narrowly misses. Kendall Hunter took a few rough hits, with one being a shot toward his leg as he was going out of bounds, and a shot to his head as he was swinging around the O-line. As for Alex Smith, he was under constant duress through the entire game, and took the roughest hits out of the lot. This was perhaps one of the hardest hitting playoff games of our generation. However, the Saints could not keep up with the 49ers offense and lost 32-36. This would be Greg Williams' last game with the New Orleans Saints. On March 2nd, 2012, the NFL announced that after a lengthy investigation, they had found evidence of a bounty system in the Saints organization.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
They had found evidence of a bounty system in the Saints organization from the 2009 to 2011 season, administered by defensive coordinator Greg Williams. This took the media by storm. As each hour passed, more and more information about the insidious bounty scandal was released. According to the NFL's report on the scandal, around 27 players were involved in the program. In a payout program that would pay for knockout hits, at one point, the bounty pool reached $50,000 somewhere in the postseason. A memo was sent around the league detailing the bounty scandal. The NFL's investigation also found that bounties were placed on quarterback Brett Favre and Kurt Warner in the 2009 playoffs. Brett Favre, however, said he didn't care about the bounty, stating, "My feeling, and I mean this wholeheartedly, is that I really don't care. What bothers me is we didn't win the game." Warner also had similar feelings, stating, "To think that guys didn't think, hey, we love to knock Kurt out, or we would love to knock Brett Favre out, or Drew Brees, or whoever it might be. I think that's part of the game, and I think that's part of the mindset," Warner said. However, not all athletes responded to the news this well. All-Pro running back Adrian Peterson claimed that in the 2011 season, the Saints targeted his injured ankle deliberately and had to control his frustration and anger during the game. During the NFL investigation, Sean Payton also allegedly attempted to cover up the scheme. Evident in emails he sent to Reggie Bush's former marketing agent, Mike Ornstein, a shady figure who consistently contributed to the bounty fund, putting up $5,000 to injure Rodgers in the season opener. At one point, Tom Benson, owner of the New Orleans Saints, was made aware of the bounty system Gregg Williams was employing and ordered Mickey Loomis, general manager for the Saints, to put an end to it immediately, but he failed to do as he was told. Gregg Williams, in a statement, expressed his regret in employing the bounty system, stating, "I want to express my sincere regret and apology to the NFL, Saints owner Tom Benson, and the New Orleans Saints fans for my participation in the Pay for Performance program while I was with the Saints. It was a terrible mistake, and we knew it was wrong while we were doing it. Instead of getting caught up in it, I should have stopped it. I take full responsibility for my role. I am truly sorry. I have learned a hard lesson, and I guarantee that I will never participate in or allow this kind of activity to happen again." But this was not the first time Williams has dabbled with bounties, using them throughout his career. Former Redskins players, Bills, and Titans players have come forward claiming that they had a similar system when they played for Gregg Williams. Former NFL defensive back Matt Bowen, who played for Williams during his tenure on the Redskins, confirmed that bounties were heavily prevalent, stating, "Money came in for more than watching a guy leave the field. Bounties..."
Yeah, bro, come on, bro. We all know, like, it's a lot of niggas that say they sorry, but they're not really sorry. They just sorry because they got caught, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that, bro. I know this man ain't sorry, bro. This man not sorry. You know what I mean? Honestly, if he never got caught, bro, he probably would have still been doing it, bro.
Whatever you want to call
He's just trying to act sincere because he got caught.
It's an ugly tradition that was exposed Friday with Williams front and center from his time coaching defense in New Orleans. But don't peg this on him alone. You'll find it in plenty of NFL cities. This proves that this was not an isolated event, but something Williams has employed throughout his career, undoubtedly causing countless injuries. But Bowen also suggests that Williams is not alone, and that it is actually quite common
Chad Ochocinco?
with some NFL players.
Not my nigga Chad!
Upwards to 40% of players participate in bounty systems. On April 5th, 2012, the bounty audio would be released, making the bounty scandal all too real. Roger Goodell was disgusted with what the NFL was able to find and enacted some of the most severe punishments in NFL history. Defensive coordinator Gregg Williams was suspended indefinitely due to his masterminding and implementation of the bounty system. Linebacker Jonathan Vilma was suspended for the entire 2012 season due to his leadership role with the bounties, and Vilma putting up a $10,000 bounty for Warner and for Favre's forced exit from the game during the 2009 playoffs. Head coach Sean Payton was suspended for the 2012 season for his knowledge of there being a bounty system in place and obstructing the NFL's investigation twice, in 2010 and in 2011, attempting to cover up the bounty system. And defensive end Anthony Hargrove was suspended for the first half of the season for obstructing NFL investigation. Mickey Loomis, general manager for the New Orleans Saints, was suspended for the first 8 games of the 2012 season. Defensive end Will Smith was banned for the first 4 games of the season. Linebacker Scott Fujita was banned for the first 3 games of the season for pledging a significant amount of money to the bounty fund during the 2009 playoffs. Assistant head coach Joe Vitt was suspended for the first 6 games of the season, but it didn't end there. The Saints were also fined $500,000 and were forced to forfeit their 2012 and 2013 second-round draft picks. On July 26th, Vilma and 7 other witnesses, Saints players and faculty, tested under threat of perjury that Commissioner Roger Goodell misconstrued evidence, denying that there was ever a bounty system, but rather a system to award good plays and punish bad ones, stating that unnecessary roughness calls resulted in a loss of around $200, so the bounty system would become counterintuitive. However, Vilma had little success in court, with the hopes of returning early from his suspension. On September 7th, all 4 players appealed their suspensions and were lifted, but later reinstated around the 5th week of the regular season. On March 30th, Payton and Vitt filed for an appeal, but to no avail, and would serve the entirety of their suspension.
1 year
on December 11th, former league commissioner Paul Tagliabue
NFL was not playing with these niggas.
Turned all
they laid a law. Damn.
Vilma, Smith, Fujita, and Hargrove were free to return. He explains the reason for his ruling, stating, "I affirm Commissioner Goodell's factual findings as to the 4 players. I conclude that Hargrove, Smith, and Vilma, but not Fujita, engaged in conduct detrimental to the integrity of and public confidence in the game of professional football. This entire case has been contaminated by the coaches and others in the Saints organization. Tagliabue is not denying the players' involvement, but rather pinning the blame on the coaches for allowing this to happen. But Vilma, steadfast that there was no bounty of any kind, continued to sue Goodell for defamation, even though Tagliabue himself said that there was considerable evidence that Vilma placed a $10,000 bounty on Brett Favre in their NFC Championship matchup. This bounty scandal lifted the veil over so many viewers' eyes of what occurs in the NFL behind closed doors. When a serious amount of money is on the line, and even the slightest edge can result in millions upon millions of more dollars, morality often gets blurred. Do I believe Greg Williams was an evil individual or a coach that would do anything to win? That's really for you to decide.
Heck yeah. That nigga said, I want that nigga running sideways. Bro said, I want that nigga running sideways. I want his head sideways. Heck yeah, that nigga was an evil coach.
Is no doubt Machiavellian, which reminds me of a passage in the book Prince written by Niccolo Machiavelli. Any man who tries to be good all the time is bound to come to ruin among the great number of people who are not good. This basically means that a man willing to do things that aren't necessarily good or moral when the situation demands it will always defeat the man who is constantly guided by morals. Whether it's an athlete that takes performance enhancers to gain an edge on the field, or a player that fills themselves with painkillers to play through an injury, the NFL harbors some dark secrets that are constantly hidden from the public, but eventually, the truth always shows itself. Greg Williams was reinstated by the NFL on February 7th, 2013, and has bounced around a couple of teams, most recently being the defensive coordinator for the New York Jets, and is currently a free agent.
Put your testicles in the C-gap.
Yep, that nigga wasn't gonna change. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, he said, "Put your testicles in the C-gap." Yep, he wasn't gonna change. He was gonna be the same person. But y'all know what it is, man. Your boy Jay finna get ready for that freaking, you know what I mean, game. You know what I mean?